What's going on? So this video is going to be a follow-up on the previous video about the oil consumption or the low oil light that I had on my car. So I took the car to the dealership, they checked it, they said there's no oil on the dipstick. I was like, yeah, that's why I brought it in, no oil on the dipstick. So they said that the oil was last changed by them I had 2,800 miles on the car when I brought it in the first time for the low oil. So they did an oil change. They refilled the oil to the proper levels at 2,800, and here we are at 6,600 miles, and it's low again. So what they did this time was I actually had to bring them oil that I had, because they said they wouldn't, if they put oil in it to top it off, they're gonna charge me for the oil. But I already had all this Pennzoil SRT oil, which the same one they use. So I brought it there to the dealer. They topped it off, and we're gonna do an oil consumption test. So what the oil consumption test is, they mark the dipstick, and I'm supposed to go back and check the level at 1,000 miles. So with that, with marking the dipstick, they also mark your oil drain plug, your oil cap, and they zip tie down your dipstick. And I asked the guy, why would you do that? And they also mark it. It was like, so that way I'm not trying to cheat the system by draining the oil out. So I can't check the oil, I can't do anything until I bring it back and they actually check the oil. I got the service bulletin from them about the oil consumption, and this is what it says about oil consumption. The acceptable rate of oil consumption for engines used in these vehicles listed is 1 quart for every 2,000 miles. So they're saying with the Hellcat we should be burning 1 quart every 2,000 miles for the first 50,000 miles. For engines with more than 50,000 miles, the acceptable oil consumption for engines is 1 quart in 750 miles. So the different diagnosis that the TSB said for oil consumption is gasket and external leaks. We've checked that, we have none of those. Oil leaks, I've checked, they've checked, I have no oil leak. Improper reading of oil level indicator on dipstick. They said it must be the proper dipstick for the part number for that car, which it is because it's brand new. Under or overfill after an oil change. They changed the oil the last time, and they put the mark on the dipstick so it was at the correct mark. The correct type of oil, which I hope they put the correct viscosity oil in there. And then it says crank case ventilation system. Oil dilution with fuel or water could also cause it to have oil consumption. And they say these are the causes for oil consumption. Aggressive driving. And their definition of aggressive driving is a higher rate of oil consumption is normal for vehicles equipped with manual transmission that are driven aggressively. Aggressive means operation at high RPM from 3,000 RPM to red line. So anything above 3,000 RPM on the manual, they consider that aggressive driving. With frequent use of engine braking to slow the vehicle down. Vehicles are driven aggressively may consume engine oil at a rate of 1 quart to every 500 miles. This is normal for a vehicle that is driven aggressively. No repair is necessary. The driving habit will require the owner to check the engine level at frequent intervals to verify the oil level remains within recommended operating range. Oil level should be checked every time you get fuel. I mean, it is the Hellcat. I do drive it aggressive from time to time, but I don't drive it aggressive every single time. So it says also tow and heavy usage, engine wear, and engine temperature could cause oil consumption. So with that, they're just gonna do the test. But what I did find out that they did not do for the oil consumption test per FCA. This is what they're supposed to do. Check the oil level at least 15 minutes after the hot shutdown. If the oil is low, top off with proper viscosity AP1 service level engine oil. Add 1 bottle of Mopar 4-in-1 leak detection dye into the engine oil. Tamper proof the oil pan, drain plug, oil filter, dipstick, and oil filter cap, which they did. Record the vehicle mileage, which they did. Instruct the customer to drive the vehicle as usual. After the customer returned to the servicing dealer after accumulating 500 miles. See, this says 500 miles, but they want me to come back at 1,000 miles. I'm gonna have to go back and check with them. And this is actually from the dealer as well, what I'm reading about the oil consumption test. Check the oil level at least 15 minutes after a hot shutdown. If the oil level is halfway between full and add, mark and continue to the next step. Using a black light, recheck any external engine oil leaks. Repair is necessary. If no external engine oil leaks are present, continue with oil consumption diagnosis. So I'm not sure what that means. I'd have to find out what that means from them when we go back at 1,000 miles. So that is the part of the oil consumption test. Once I get the results of the oil consumption test, I will let you guys know. But I did have another issue with the car as far as the transmission, which I'll put in another video because that's another thing altogether. But overall, I do love the car. I don't regret getting the car. It's a lovely car to drive and I really enjoy it. Once again, thanks for checking out my videos. Subscribe, share, and don't forget to like. Thanks.